Welcome back to the Farm Cook Kitchen. Today, we're doing shrooms. So let's get cooking. We're using a pretty large pan. This is a 14-inch non-stick pan, great size. And one of the reasons we want this kind of a large pan is to make sure that we have a lot of surface area so that the cream will thicken and evaporate with a lot of heat. So since we're not using a traditional roux to thicken the cream sauce, we're just gonna boil it down and reduce it, and it's gonna be absolutely delicious. All right, the pan is getting warm. It's preheating. I think it's time to drop the shrooms in, and we're gonna do a little bit different method to start off. We're gonna add the shrooms and then some water. I'd seen this method discussed online by Lan and others, and in their experiments, using some water helps break down the mushrooms and get to the point where they're soft and ready to be used in your dish a little bit quicker with a meatier, more tender flavor. During the process of cooking mushrooms, they'll release a lot of their natural water. So this is just to help get them started. I'm not trying to use very much water. Want there to be enough so that it sort of steams the mushrooms and starts to break them down, so that Maillard reaction can start happening a little bit more rapidly. We're not making mushroom soup. Just trying to get these guys started, and then we'll hit them with the butter. Because, ooh, buttery mushrooms, that's pretty awesome. So you can see we've got this big pan, not a huge number of mushrooms, maybe a pound, that have been cleaned and trimmed and sliced down. And they're starting to get, you can already see that they're starting to break down and release their water. I think that's it for the external water. We'll keep the heat pretty high and let the mushrooms release their heat or their water and start to really break down. All right, we're now at the point a couple of minutes later. It wasn't long at all, and these mushrooms are really starting to break down. Most of the water is evaporated. It's time for some butter. That's probably 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter. And once that butter melts and coats all of the mushrooms, then we'll add the shallots, which have been diced fine. And because of their small size, they'll cook very, very quickly. Let's add these guys now. So this is one fairly good-sized shallot that's been diced into a small dice. I wouldn't exactly say it's a Bernoise, but it's pretty small. And we're just going to let these guys cook. Let me turn this down a little bit now. Let the shallots start to get incorporated with the mushrooms. This is already smelling really, really tasty. We're just going to let this go for, I don't know, another 2, maybe 3 minutes, and we'll be ready to add a fair amount of cream to make a creamy mushroom sauce. It's going to be out of this world. It's only been a couple of minutes since I added the shallot, and the shallots are getting incorporated into the dish nicely. I'm gonna add a little bit of thyme, probably a half teaspoon, and I'm sort of pinching it and grinding it in my fingers to try and break up the little bits of thyme and release all of those oils, and those oils will get added to the oil, the fat that's from the butter, and just carry that flavor, that seasoning throughout the dish. And the butter was seasoned. It was salted butter, so I haven't added any salt yet. I will in a little bit, but it's just right now the only seasoning included so far is the salt from the butter and the thyme that we just added. It was dried thyme. And now that dried thyme is starting to release its oils. You can really sort of smell it coming off of the pan. Very, very delicious smelling. Can't wait. So I think now it's time to add some cream. I'm going to turn up the heat. That's probably a pint of cream that was added. The heat is up. So what we're going to do is just boil this down, reduce it, add a little bit of butter at the end to try and emulsify the concentrated cream mushroom mixture. And we're going to add a little something special at the end too. So let's get this boiling and reducing. All right, you can see now that the concoction is boiling away. All of this is the water that was part of the cream. All of this boiling away is helping to reduce and concentrate that cream to actually make a sauce, or having it feel like a creamy sauce without having to add any sort of thickeners like flour or cornstarch or xanthan gum or anything like that. We're just using heat to boil off the excess, and then we're gonna thicken it up with a little bit of butter at the very end. We're almost ready. All right, so the sauce is thickened. It's reduced by about half. Next part of this process, or add a little bit of extra seasoning. This is a bit of tawny port, maybe 3 tablespoons full. It provides a fantastic flavor. If you're worried about the alcohol, it's going to be boiling off in this hot sauce. But it will leave a residue of fantastic flavor in the mushroom. So a porty, creamy mushroom. Make sure that gets fully incorporated. Keep scraping the sides. Make sure that you're getting all that goodness incorporated into the sauce, into the mix. This dish is almost done. It's thickened. It's seasoned. Oh, it is not seasoned. We need to add a little bit of salt. So 2 pinches of salt, a couple of grinds of fresh pepper, that is absolutely wonderful. So we've got a couple of tablespoons of butter, chilled butter, that we're now going to add after we turn off the fire. And that's going to help to create a lovely sauce. And cold butter is melting into the reduced cream. Oh man. You can see how this is thickened up. It's reduced. looking lovely. Now imagine this with a nice piece of steak, or in what we're going to be having for dinner tonight, smashburgers. Such an awesome accompaniment. Provides that fat, which is super filling. The mushrooms have a sort of a meaty character to them, so it sort of gives you the impression of meat without actually being meat. Not that there's anything wrong with meat, but some folks are not super fond of actually eating the beef. I don't understand it, but to each his own. So we're just making sure everything's incorporated and it's looking luscious and delicious. So that's the dish. So of course we have to sample, make sure everything's seasoned appropriately. That is spot on. Maybe just a pinch more salt. But that's it. Oh my goodness. Super tasty. That little bit of the port character it's in the background, but it's absolutely there, and it is delicious. And by the way, the port that I used wasn't expensive. It was a cheap tawny port. Actually, it wasn't even an official port. It was from Australia. Let's give it another taste. Excellent. So, that's the dish. Creamy shrooms as an accompaniment for dinner. Give it a try.